Hello my friends, Asoka the Geek here, and for this review we're taking a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse DC Classics Superman. First of all, huge thanks to McFarlane Toys for sending me this for an early review. And yeah, here we have a classic Superman, or so it's labeled. You know, I can't really call this a true classic Superman just because of that belt. That belt is definitely not a classic look for Superman. This figure is obviously using the same body as the McFarlane DC Direct Lee Bermejo, I'm sure I'm butchering that name, Superman, so it had to use the same belt, I suppose. But, you know, other than the belt, I see what they were going for here. You know, you got the very classic baby blue, the red, the yellow, and then a very classic smiley Superman. So in that regards, I feel like they already succeeded. The belt aside, I love the colors. The colors are, in my opinion, fantastic. I love the lighter colored Superman. This looks great, in my opinion, as far as the suit goes. And the face, which we'll take a closer look, I think it's pretty good. You know, they did do a smiley face Superman last year, which used the Rebirth body, and that was not a good smiley face Superman. But I gotta say, I really like this one, especially having it in hand. But anyways, without further ado, let's take him out of the packaging and take a closer look. Alright, so there's Superman outside of the packaging. So he does come with a nice flight stand. Then he has his trading card. And this art looks like, is it Darwin Cook's art? That's what it looks like to me. So obviously it doesn't really match the figure. I think with the art, McFarlane probably only has access to certain art that they can use, which is why there's always inconsistency with the art that's on the box versus the figures that we get. So I think this was the closest they could get to a DC classic Superman, even though it doesn't really match the figure in any way. Still some nice artwork for the trading card. Then he does come with 2 extra sets of open hands, kind of grabby hands, and then flight hands. So that's cool that it comes with extra hands. Then there's the figure itself with the flight stand. I do like these flight stands. I do wish you could tighten them up a little bit, because after time they do start to droop down a little bit. And then here is the figure itself. So as I mentioned in the opening, this is using a previously released body. And I think this is the only 3rd time they've used this body. They had the original version, then there was a black and kind of, was it green? Accented figure that I think was a store exclusive. And then we have this one. So glad they reused this body, because I do like this body actually quite a bit. It's really, I don't know, I think nicely done Superman body. I think it works nicely for the character. Even the cape, it's a flowy cape, and I like it. I like the cape, so I think that looks cool. You can pose him, as you can see, and I think the cape really flows nicely with the body. So that's my opinion on the cape. And then as far as the figure itself, let's talk about that head sculpt. So this is the 2nd attempt at doing a smiley-faced Superman, and I think this one works, honestly. It's like a nice smile, not over dramatically smiling. You know, I think they kind of got it right this time with the smiley-faced Superman. And then the figure, the head sculpt kind of looks more like Superboy than Superman, honestly. Which is not a criticism. I think it's a really nice head sculpt. They got the spit curl really nicely done there. And the parting of the hair, all that looks good. I just think it looks very youthful. So this could either be a very, like, you know, early, younger Superman, or it could even pass for a Superboy. But either way, I like the head sculpt. I think it looks really nice. Yeah, I think it looks good. Look, this one looks like Superman. The other smiley face Superman was overly smiley and didn't even look like a Superman, but I think this one looks like Superman. It's giving me a little bit, not completely, giving me a little bit of, you know, Christopher Reeve, end of Superman, you know, smiley vibes. So for me, I like this head sculpt. I think it works. I like the slight smile it's got there. He looks like a jovial Superman. He looks like a Superman who's just starting out in his career. He's full of hope. And, you know, that's what the character is all about, you know? I mean, I'm not even being sarcastic there. You know, I do like a smiley face Superman. I think it's kind of hard to pull off well in plastic, and I think this one looks good. As for the rest of the figure, again, this is a body we've seen before. I like it. It's a skinnier body, but I think it looks great. They are calling this a classic Superman, but again, that belt just really does not scream classic. It's not a classic look. If they had done a regular belt for this figure, it would have been much more of a classic looking Superman. But other than that, I love the colors. I love the blue on this figure. The red and the yellow look awesome. Would have loved an S on the back of the cape, which I know I complain about a lot. But, you know, I'm a big fan of that look. But, yeah, I think it's just a really sharp-looking Superman figure. It's going to go on the shelf for sure. And, yeah, it looks nice. As far as articulation go, you get a lot of movement with this figure. Of course, it's Superman, so you don't have any armor or anything getting in the way. You can move the head around quite a bit. Good range of motion there. There's the articulation with the foot and the toe. And yeah, I mean, I got no complaints really. Again, other than it being called a classic when it really isn't a classic. But it feels like a classic. It feels like just a nice, sweet Superman figure. And it works for me. So if you don't have a Superman figure, I think this would be a nice one to pick up. I'll do some height comparisons in a moment so you can see how he scales with some other McFarlane figures. But yeah. I really like this figure. And the more I look at it too, you know, look at that. He looks like someone who's about to save a cat from a tree or get a cat out of a tree. You know what I mean? Just a very happy-go-lucky Superman figure. But anyways, let's take a look and see how he scales with some other McFarlane figures. Alright, so there's the new Superman in the middle with the DC Rebirth Superman and the classic Action Comics 1000 Superman. So he scales really nicely with those other ones. And man, I just love seeing this. I have so many Superman figures. He's my favorite character. And I pretty much buy every Superman figure. I think I have everyone from McFarlane. There they go, falling over. There goes all of them. But yeah, I think this one really looks nice next to all these other Superman figures that just fell over. But you know, let's also take a look and see how he scales next to some non-Superman figures. If I can get this guy. Forget it. Alright, let's see how he looks next to some other figures. Alright, so here's the new Superman next to Hush Batman and the new Wonder Woman. Doesn't scale well with Hush Batman. Didn't think he would. I think he's going to scale a lot better with Nightfall Batman, but I didn't have him handy, so apologies. I think he looks okay next to Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, she's an Amazon. She can be a little taller than Superman, but I would definitely think he would scale better with Nightfall Batman and maybe the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman. But he still looks nice next to these guys. But yeah, there he is. I'll dig up Nightfall Batman and do some more comparisons on my my Instagram as well as YouTube. I'll do a little YouTube short and do a few more comparisons. But there he is. So overall, I like this figure quite a bit. I like the head sculpt, smiley, young, youthful Superman. I think it's a nice figure. Love the colors. You know, his fists are a little big, a little big fist, but it's okay. You know, very punchy. You can have him punching someone, but yeah, a little big on the fist. But you know, there you go. Other than that, yeah, I'm happy with this figure. I think it looks nice. He's gonna look nice on the shelf. He's gonna look nice next to some other Superman figures. And there he is. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. If you would like to see him with any other figures, I could definitely do some head swaps as well if you're interested in seeing this head on any other figures or another figure's head on this figure. More than happy to do some head swaps or something like that. But that's about it, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.